More drama on the Russia investigation, and it's putting the president at odds with the top law enforcement leaders.
Yeah, the president is now accusing the FBI of spying on his 2016 campaign for political purposes. KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with those details. Dave?
And we've got plenty of new developments tonight. In fact, tonight some Democrats are saying the conflicts between President Trump and the Russia investigation may lead to a constitutional crisis. And new information tonight about the FBI informant whom the president charges was spying on his campaign. All this on a day when the Trump administration pushed for a special counsel investigation into spy charges, and the deputy attorney general agreed to show Congress members highly classified documents about the FBI informant in that case. President Trump waging war again with his Justice Department. He's ordering an investigation into the Russia investigation, an unprecedented move that could spark a constitutional showdown. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein arrived at the White House this afternoon for a showdown with President Trump over an FBI informant who had contacts with several Trump campaign aides during the 2016 election campaign. The informant met with at least 3 Trump campaign advisors, Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and Sam Clovis, after the FBI learned they had suspicious contacts with Russians. It comes on a day after the president took to Twitter saying he demands the Department of Justice look into whether or not the FBI and Department of Justice infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign for political purposes, and if any such demands or requests were made by people within the Obama administration. He's railed against his Justice Department before, but this goes well beyond where previous presidents have gone by threatening to apply political pressure on the Justice Department.
I think that's actually a very disturbing assault on the independence of the Department of Justice. And I think when the president, this president or any president, tries to use the Department of Justice as kind of a private investigatory body, that's not good for the country.
But after the meeting, President Trump not only appeared satisfied with the outcome, he was lavish with his praise of Visalia Congressman Devin Nunes, who earlier this month subpoenaed the Justice Department for all documents related to the FBI informant in an attempt to reveal the confidential source.
Very courageous man. He's courageous. Congressman Devin Nunes. Thank you very much, Devin, for being here.
The FBI Director, Christopher Wray, has refused to share the informant's identity with Congress.
Human sources, in particular, who put themselves at great risk to work with us and with our foreign partners, have to be able to trust that we're going to protect their identities and, in many cases, their lives and the lives of their families.
The question now, is this a political battle to discredit the Russia investigation by suggesting the FBI infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign, or is it a legal fight over a substantive complaint of spying on the campaign? Maybe both. Now the White House says the Justice Department and the FBI will allow congressional leaders to see highly classified information related to President Trump's spying allegations. Burbank Congressman Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, told CNN this is starting to look like a looming constitutional crisis that might include potential firings of the Deputy Attorney General and/or the special counsel.
Should Bob Mueller follow the money? Should Bob Mueller get too close to what the president thinks would completely compromise him? You could see him firing Mueller or firing Rod Rosenstein. So we may be on that slow-moving path to a Saturday night massacre.
And on Monday, the president, in the midst of this battle over spying allegations in the Russia 2016 election interference charges, made a rare visit to the CIA headquarters where Gina Haspel was sworn in as the new director.
Our enemies will take note. Gina is tough. She is strong. And when it comes to defending America, Gina will never, ever back down.
Now, Congressman Schiff also reportedly raised concerns that the Justice Department and the FBI are caving in to pressure from President Trump. And now there is growing concern about the safety of the FBI informant, even as more information is now being reported about that informant. So like I said, we got stuff coming from every direction tonight.
Well, speaking of the informant, there are reports tonight on who that secret FBI informant is. What do you have on that?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. That information is now starting to come out tonight. Multiple news organizations, including including the Wall Street Journal and now the Washington Post, have identified that FBI source who assisted the Russia investigation as Stephen Halper. He's described by the Post as a well-connected veteran of several past Republican administrations and a respected academic who's considered an expert on China. The Post reports that Halper contacted 3 Trump campaign advisors for brief talks in a meeting that largely centered on foreign policy. Then, at some point that year, the Post says he began working as a secret informant for the FBI as it investigated Russian interference in the campaign. That information attributed by the Post to multiple people who are familiar with his activities. Halper, who's 73 years old, declined to comment to the Post, and the FBI declined comment as well. Jeff, Lena, back to you.